With being ranked number one in high jump right now, the expectation from the media is for me to win every meet that I go to.
Have you ever felt overwhelmed by expectations, and how do you handle those moments?
I felt overwhelmed a lot of times, but I handle them with my friends and my family around me that are close to my coaches don't put that pressure on me. The pressure really comes from articles that are written and stuff like that. So my coaches and family handles it really well with me, and that's kind of how I get over the overwhelming.
Have you ever felt pressure to do your best when you don't feel good?
Um, Sometimes, but not from coaches. If I'm not feeling it or I'm coming off of injury or just mentally not right, none of my coaches are gonna make me jump anyways.
Do you ever experience feelings of burnout or exhaustion from the pressure to perform at your best at all times, and how do you cope with those feelings?
I'd say that I definitely have needed to take some breaks, and that's just kind of how I handled those situations. I mean, doing my sport all day, every day, all the time can definitely get exhausting. So just knowing when to take those breaks is kind of how I handle that.
You stay mentally healthy when faced with the pressure of always being at the top.
The biggest thing is just the people that I surround myself around. I have coaches that don't put that pressure on me, and I have friends that are always building me up when I'm performing and competing. So just having the right people around me helps me mentally perform well.
Competitive school environments can give students a lot of unnecessary pressure and a feeling that school and college are the only things that matter. But in reality, there are a lot of really good, well-paying jobs that don't even need a college degree. So school can easily add unwanted pressure and expectations that aren't actually needed to be successful. Yes, especially during finals season where I can spend 10 hours a day doing nothing but studying. I have had to miss out on seeing family, supporting my siblings at their events, Bible studies, and have even had days where I can't afford to take a half-hour break in studying. Okay. No, I think that many teachers don't understand that a lot of their students have hours worth of work in other classes each week, on top of a possible job in sport. A lot of teachers will pile on assignments, and then if a student can't get it in on time, they'll blame it on poor time management skills or just that student not being well suited to the class. When in reality, the issue is just that teachers are assigning way too much work, and most do not give much room for students to prioritize other classes that may be more relevant to a future major. For example, if a student wants to become a doctor, it's important that they spend time making sure they grasp whatever is going on in science. But if their history teacher doesn't allow them to turn in any late assignments, their grade in both of these classes could suffer. Go. When I have to spend long weekends and after school doing nothing but studying so that I can get a good grade, I have to miss sleep, spending time with my family, and hanging out with my friends. And it can feel like all that I do every day is just focus on school. If I spend all this time on school and then still don't get the grade that I want, the effects are even worse because then I feel like I wasted so many hours for nothing when I could. Every time I hear someone else's grade, my immediate instinct is to compare it to my own. A lot of the time this only makes me feel behind and like I'm not working hard enough, but it can also push me to make sure that I'm really doing my best and realize that some people just excel in different areas and that doesn't make anyone less smart than anyone else.
Some expectations can be good and encourage you to overcome obstacles and chase your dreams. However, when your expectations are unrealistic, it can create friction, misunderstandings, frustration, and more. They did a study and found evidence of a positive association between academic pressure or timing within the school year and at least one mental health outcome, meaning that academic pressure has a strong effect on students' mental health.
Unrealistic expectations are those expectations we set for ourselves or others that are highly improbable or unattainable. They can occur at work, in friendships, and in marriage, and can be related to money or sports. Common types of these expectations are perfectionism, instant gratification, control over external factors, happiness at all times, and meeting social standards.
There are many things people worry about having a good image or high status besides school, like athletics, money, work, relationships, friendships, social media popularity, etc. Today, the stakes are very high to be a person who is very successful in many ways, which can be good for people becoming their best self, but can also have negative effects on mental health and well-being.
While having these expectations can cause emotional distress and dissatisfaction, low self-esteem, relationship strain, and burnout, identifying the stress of these expectations can be relieved by practicing gratitude, crushing comparison, being kind to yourself, and asking for help.
Now, the research has shown that perfectionism is fundamentally completely unattainable, and this might come as no surprise to people watching this video. Not only this, but we actually suffer from a great sense of helplessness and hopelessness when we seek out perfectionism but cannot attain it. And not only this, but a demand of perfectionism from others can actually impact negatively our need for neurotic perfectionism. If we think back to some of the earlier studies that we spoke about, can have negative consequences on those people around us, and it can also have hugely negative consequences for ourselves. More and more research is coming to light that shows the connection between mental health issues and perfectionism. And what makes this even worse is that in today's society, we are continuously surrounded by perfectionism.